moving back to 5D's era, we're now going to take a look at another unplayable archetype. Well, barely unplayable because it is better than Bouncers after all, so yeah. We're taking a look at Iron Chains, the archetype used by the facility chief in the 5Ds, and yeah, it was focused on locking your opponent up to making any valuable plays, milling, and yeah, we'll see what comes after that. So yeah, we'll start off with their first monster, which is the Iron Chain Blaster. A level 2 warrior with 1100 attack, and once per turn you can send one Iron Chain monster you control to the graveyard to inflict 800 damage to the opponent. Cannon Soldier, this ain't. Yeah, transition from the GX era to 5Ds era was a bit of a hard period since the people at Konami were trying to give up the out-of-place random burn damage, and yeah, this card is no exception. So yeah, we would most likely tribute this card as the cost for burning, but yeah. Anyways, it's not worth running in anything. Well, it works in tandem with some other cards, which we'll get into later. But yeah, overall it's not a very good card, and yeah, there are way better options in the deck. Their next monster is their tuner monster, the level 3 Iron Chain Coil. And once per turn you can select one Iron Chain monster you control to have it gain 300 attack and defense as long as this card remains face up on the field. Battle boosting tuners are not very nice, especially this one since he requires to be remaining on the field after he boosts your monsters. I mean, if you build up correct stall deck around this thing, you can get some of your monsters to I don't know, 1200 plus bonus attack, but yeah, tuners usually do not tend to stay on the field for too long for this boost to matter. And as we'll see later, there are no other better power output options out there. So yeah, I'd say, well, actually he is worth running because they have a synchro monster after all. So yeah, their next monster is also a level 3 Iron Chain Snake. And during your main phase, you can equip this card to one face-up monster your opponent controls. That monster loses 800 attack and defense, and when it is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, its controller sends cards equal to its level from the top of their deck to the graveyard. Ah yes, here we are introduced to the milling the archetype is known for. And this is by far the most inefficient way to do so. Unless you have double summon and like a stronger monster out there on the field, Iron Chain's equipping effect does not matter in the slightest. I mean, scratching it for 800 is kinda nice, but most relevant monsters can negate that effect before it even goes out, for example, Crystal Wing. So yeah, not much benefit in running Iron Chain Snake except for, you know, getting their synchro monster on the field since you can tune it with the coil since it's a level 6. Alright, their final main deck monster is their level 4 Warrior Iron Chain Repairman. And when this card destroys a monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, inflict 300 damage to the opponent. Once per turn you can special summon one level 4 or lower Iron Chain monster from your graveyard except Iron Chain Repairman, but this card cannot attack during the turn you activate this effect. The revival effect is the only recovery they have, that should speak for itself, which also locks this card out from attacking. It's searchable by Rhoda, that's about as far as it goes. It can revive Blaster for some reason if you want to keep burning your opponent. The best option here is Coil since it can boost it up again. And maybe Snake, so if you're running it for the equip and milling effect. And yeah, I'm not going to dwell around the 300 burn damage because I have some ounces of sanity left. Alright, their first synchro monster is Iron Chain Dragon, and it's their last monster, and yeah, dragon because every archetype needs a good dragon, I agree. It requires one tuner, one or more non-tuners, so it's completely generic, so that means it sees plays in other decks which are much better than this. And you can remove from play all Iron Chain monsters from your graveyard to have this card gain 200 attack for each card removed until the end phase. When this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent, send the top 3 cards from your opponent's deck to the graveyard. You'd expect at least 5 cards from a boss monster, this wonderfully generic, but no, it's just 3. And the power output, yeah, it drains you completely of resources, so you cannot come back if you're suffering. So yeah, you'll be losing a lot if you're using its battle-oriented attack boost effect. So yeah, it's completely fine in other decks, but yeah, it's their saving grace, provided you do not use the banishing effect. Their first spell card is Poison Chain, a continuous spell. And during the end phase of your turn, if you did not attack, your opponent sends in cards equal to the number of face-up Iron Chain monsters you control from the top of their deck to the graveyard. Okay, so we're not supposed to attack with Iron Chain Dragon? What degeneracy is this? Yeah, I mean, if you use the Repairman's effect and you brought back something like Blaster or Iron Chain Snake, I guess you can make a use of this card, but then you'll be sending, like, I don't know, 2 cards to the graveyard. And yeah, if your field is jam-packed with Iron Chains, you'll be sending top 5 cards to the graveyard, but I am disappointed. Poorly executed, in my opinion. And their last card is Paralyzing Chain, another continuous spell. And when a card is sent from the opponent's deck to the graveyard by a card effect, inflict 300 damage to your opponent. More GX out of place burn. But the fun fact is that it doesn't burn 300 for each of them, just burns 300 whenever any number of cards is sent to the graveyard. Don't run it, please. Alright, grades, consistency, none to speak of. Well, a giant rat can search all of them except Repairman. And that's about as far as it goes. I mean, Sangan can search them all. Well, except Repairman, of course, and Witch of the Black Forest can also search out all of them. But this time I really mean all of them, so... But yeah, all of those rely on your stuff getting destroyed by battle. So yeah, I am going to be giving it a 1 out of 3 there. Power, well, beyond Iron Chain Dragon's banishing effect, nothing. Absolutely nothing in that power department, so yeah. 1 out of 3 again. Comeback ability, none to speak of. Well, Iron Chain Repairman can revive a single monster, which is as pointless as he is, so no. No, comeback ability is an absolute 1 out of 3. Protection, well, yes, I would love some protection, and yeah, they don't have any protection at all, so 1 out of 3. And versatility, I've heard stories about a Noble Knight's Link monster pushing them back into slight relevance with its effects, so because of getting a spotlight on Mega Capital G's channel, Iron Chains will deserve a 2 out of 3 in versatility, because I heard that the new Noble Knight's Link monster is pretty badass along with MX Saber Evoker, so yeah, I'm gonna cut them some slack and give them a 2 out of 3 in versatility. So yeah, this is also a god-awful archetype, but it's actually a bit better than Bouncer, since they actually have a win condition here. Because Bouncers did not have any win conditions at all. They were just random disabling effect, which, well, I mean, you could have saw in Hammer Bouncers and Photon Strike Bouncers effect that they were meant to be kind of like a stun archetype, kind of like this one, but this one feels more like it's on point on what it's supposed to do, and that is milling cards and disabling your opponent from retrieving them. But yeah, that is not the case, since they do not have any cards that help them out with the retrieving bit in any possible way. And yeah, that was Iron Chains. That was slightly worse than I expected them to be. So yeah, I mean, they could work in tandem with Dark Scorpions, but come on, you're pushing it now. So yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned for more videos and updates. Comment, like, and subscribe. And as usual, I'll upload the next vid whenever I can. See you all. Have a good day. And peace.